This morning I just saw it first day, first show in an IMAX screen. Here are the points like why you should watch it, and also a very important point what Nolan has missed in this one movie. And you have seen it in all of his movies, but in this one you're definitely going to miss it, and you will be thinking like why I don't feel it. And there is a reason why this movie is 18 plus. I was thinking like why, but at some point you realize like okay, there are few things like they can't show, and it's not just all because of nudity. It's really weird, horrifying, and I don't think so anyone below 18 should watch it. The movie is very grand, but not as grand as his old movies that we have already seen. And you might feel it, they are going from tiny spaces to another tiny space to another tiny space. They do show a lot of sea, they show a lot of open land, but it just doesn't feel like a huge. They should have used some wide means extremely wide angles from far. That's like a major thing missing from my side. And don't listen to the online reviews about the casting choices. When watching the movie, it doesn't matter. And the old Troy movie, that story is not included in this. It's there, but everything happens after the Trojan horse incident. They have shown the Trojan horse incident, but the main story is what happens after. It's very emotional. In the beginning you feel like oh, we just want him to win, but by the end you realize like oh, we came half hour early,
which is not as usual. We always run and rush at the last minute for anything that we book.
Yeah, last movie we came for Obsession, we were like 1 minute and we stepped in and the movie started, the car scene.
Yeah.
And today entire mall is empty. It feels like we are in Dubai. So the first thing is the cast. The cast is so incredible. Right from Matt Damon to Tom Holland to Anne Hathaway. Zendaya, she's there. It could have been played by anyone or just to add a new tag to the long list of star cast. The entire movie goes around the story of Odyssey, how he went to the war, which took longer than they expected, how he infiltrated the wall. And this is the same story we have already seen, the Orlando Bloom's movie. Same story, but in this one, they haven't shown that detailing much. Instead, this focuses mostly on Odyssey, his family, his journey and his adventure, how he is trying to keep his men alive throughout the movie, what he has to do, and if he comes back, when he comes back, or if he will ever come back. There is no spoilers because everyone knows this story. It's based on a very old Greek mythological poem. And if you have seen any of the Nolan movie, you know these three things you will always be satisfied with. First is the visuals of IMAX scenes. When the IMAX scenes comes, the screen goes entire. But in this one, this never happens because entire movie, literally right from the beginning to the end, it's completely full screen. Even in Mission Impossible, Tom Cruise did it for his jump from the plane. Like it slowly goes up, then comes down, or the bike jump scene. And Nolan also did it for all of his movies like Dark Knight Rises, Tenet. Everywhere in Tenet, he literally just jumping from normal scene to cropped scene to full screen to cropped scene. But in this one, you have the satisfaction of watching entire movie throughout the runtime in complete full screen. I never felt like the movie is cropped, and people are complaining about IMAX, Indian IMAX is this and that. No, just don't listen to it. Go to any IMAX screen and just watch the movie if you are looking for a visual treat, that full length. Second is the music. The music is so good. It's something you have never heard. It's not like it's the Ludwig or Hans Zimmer music. I don't even know who did it, but the music is so good. The theater vibrates. You feel the tension, and even when there is like very peaceful something going on, it goes so light and it goes so high. The music is taking you throughout the journey. And the third thing, which I said earlier that you have missed, is the what should I call it? Larger than the life image. If you remember Interstellar or if you remember Dark Knight, there are few scenes, they are always stuck in your head like, yeah, this is that scene from the movie where you just know it's larger than life. The spinning of the wheel, or in the Dark Knight Rises when the entire army is going against Ben, and similar scenes in Inception also. But in this one, maybe it's because the entire movie is completely full screen. Everything looks good, but it doesn't feel like larger than life. It feels very compact. It feels like Game of Thrones. You're watching something out of Game of Thrones, but a very high production value, very high quality visuals. I shouldn't compare it to Game of Thrones, but when you're looking at the sets, when you're looking at their clothing, you will be reminded of those things. And I know there are a lot of debate going on online about the cast. Like they took Helena Troy as a somebody different from what was written in the poem. Even some soldier who was a guy, but they hired somebody else with some different gender. But while watching the movie, you don't feel any of it because it's very irrelevant to the Odysseus and his family, his wives, his son's story, his man's story, what they are going through. So just ignore the smoke which you see online. Once you see it, you will realize like, oh, they were wasting their so much of energy over this. Even though I said that one thing we missed, it didn't feel like a Nolan movie. The grandness, the larger than life image is missing, but each and every frame will satisfy you. And there is another thing Nolan does in all of his movies is you can't remember the sequence. If you go and try to remember any of his old movies, may it be Tenet or Inception, you're watching it in like 10-15 minutes. 10 minutes this thing happens, another minute this happens. Interstellar also, it goes in future, and not in future, but you show past, what happened now, what's going to happen later. Tenet also is same, like it moves from so many segments you won't even remember, and the movie doesn't feel like very long. If they would have added another hour of this movie, it would have been so great. But since it was shot on IMAX, obviously it won't be more than 3 hours. People will argue with me like, no, Oppenheimer was perfect, like it should be 3 hours. I felt it was long. This one felt so perfectly. Even the interval came right on time where you were like, oh, what's going to happen next? They have did really good job is they make you feel each and every character's burden, heaviness. You go through their emotions. Even though title is just the Odyssey, you feel what the Odysseus child is going through, how he has grown without a father, how Odysseus' wife, who was played by Anne Hathaway, is taking care for 20 years of Ithaca, how much under pressure she is to remarry or pass on the kingdom to his Odysseus' son, and how much the hope they have shown with everyone the Odyssey is going to return, and if he returns, and if he doesn't come, what they are going to do, and if he comes, what he is going to do, if he never comes, where he went. There are a lot of surprises that I didn't even expect. The two of them we have already seen in the trailers, but I won't spoil you by giving another 2 or 3 more. So just watch it. The movie is very emotional. It connects. My wife literally cried at a moment, not at a moment, at least twice she cried throughout the movie. And yeah, we really enjoyed it. That was my review of this movie, and if you should watch it, you should definitely watch it. If possible, watch it in IMAX. If you don't watch it in IMAX, this is how the crop bars you will be looking throughout the movie. I hope you like the review. Let me know in comments if you agree with this, and if you don't, why don't you agree with me? Let me know. Bye.